So guys, back on the 22nd of January 2014, New World Interactive released Insurgency, in my opinion, probably one of the best tactical shooters ever made. And look, I got a bit nostalgic this week and I kind of wondered if it's still worth playing now, 6 years later. Well guys, this is BillyEatWorld again, and let's find out. Alright guys, welcome to the video, and look, if you're not already a fan of Insurgency 2014, then you're probably thinking, why do I bring this up now? I mean, it's an old indie shooter, right? And this is what I thought as well. Surely it's got to be a dead game by now. And look, if it was any other indie multiplayer shooter, I'd probably say that'd be a fair enough call. A lot of games like this don't last these days more than a few months. But Insurgency, well, it was something else, and it still is, which is why even now, 6 years later, people all around the world are still playing it every day. Now, if you're interested in learning exactly what Insurgency is and where it comes from, I'll leave a link to an official documentary down below. It tells the story of the franchise's roots as a Source Engine mod back in 2007, onto the standalone game in 2014, and then up to the present day with Insurgency Sandstorm. In a nutshell though, the goal of the franchise was an attempt to blend the fast-paced infantry-focused action of games like Counter-Strike with the larger scale format of something like Battlefield. But most importantly though, it's supposed to be a gritty, hardcore, visceral experience, and it's meant to make you feel like you're in the boots of a real soldier in a war zone. So with that being said, if you're a fan of games like Call of Duty Modern Warfare or Battlefield 4, well, you'll notice it does have a few things in common. For example, it's also set in the modern era, so you can expect a pretty robust class system and a ton of realistic weapons and loadout customization options. The main difference though is you'll notice the unlock system, or should I say lack of unlock system, is very old school. Everything is unlocked by default, and you'll also notice that all the weapons and gear are faction specific. And well, that's the real elephant in the room. One of the factions you can actually play as are the Insurgents, which isn't really that controversial these days, but it's definitely not something you'll still see in a AAA shooter. Also, I should mention, speaking of classes, well, you'll notice that unlike in Battlefield games, there's no medic class in this one, and that's because, well, if you get shot, you're not getting up again. And as for getting shot, well, you're looking at about a 1 to 2 shot kill with any weapon in the game, which is just absolutely insane if you've never experienced that kind of fast TTK before. You don't get second chances in this game. If you peek a corner twice or if you run across an open lane, well, you're gonna get yourself deleted. But that's not to say that getting kills is easy in this game. You see, the recoil is also super hardcore as well, and there's no crosshair on the screen, so in other words, careful aimed shots are the only way to go. Now, if that's all that Insurgency was, it'd still be a good hardcore shooter, but for me, probably what stands out the most is the immersion. I mean, as you can see, the graphics look pretty dated by modern standards, but it's almost complete lack of HUD, and the sound and the muzzle flash and the gun smoke, that all makes up for it. It completely changes the way you approach gunfights, because unlike in arcade shooters, the game doesn't hold your hand. You've got to actually use your eyes and ears if you want to find targets. And in fact, you can see there's even night maps, which make that even harder, because it introduces a whole other set of challenges that come from wearing night vision goggles and using, for example, flares. Most importantly though, in vanilla Insurgency servers, there's no hit markers, and you get no indication of whether or not you've got a kill. And just on a side note, I should mention that, as you can see here, the server I was playing on was a bit different from that. It actually had the kill feed turned on, which isn't normal in most other servers. But not just that though, your KD is also hidden from the scoreboard while you're still alive, which makes you focus less on getting kills and more on capturing objectives, which is obviously very important in a game like this with no spotting and a super fast time to kill, because defensive playstyles are going to have a massive advantage, and when you're attacking, that means you are going to be getting killed a lot. Now finally, just before we finish up, the last thing I want to mention in this video are the game modes, because really that's where I think Insurgency hit it out of the park. The main one being 16v16 Push, which is a linear objective-based game mode, kind of similar to Battlefield's Rush-style game mode, except with sectors mixed in as well. And the other main mode I can remember was the super intense competitive mode, Firefight, which essentially was a bit like a last man standing domination, where respawns could only be triggered when you captured a flag, which actually is a really good segue into another important point. All of the game modes featured some kind of wave spawn system, so not only did you have to wait a little bit longer to respawn, you always spawned with the rest of your squad. Now that there is kind of at the crux of why I think Insurgency was and still is so popular compared to a lot of other indie shooters. It was a game that forced you to think and work as a team. And what that basically led to was a very tight-knit community, because it wasn't just about shooting things, half the fun was in the interactions you had with other players. And look, there have been games that have come and gone since then that have tried to emulate that, but in comparison even to AAA games, I really feel like Insurgency hit the nail on the head. And so in a nutshell, what should have probably just stayed a little niche indie game, well, it ended up turning into over 5 million sales. And I'm happy to say it's still just as fun today as it was way back then, 6 years ago. But anyway, guys, that just about wraps up this quick retrospective review. So as always, make sure you let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And of course, if you've got any fond, nostalgic memories of Insurgency 2014, please let me know down below as well. Let me know if you're still playing the game or anything else you want to comment on. I'd love to hear from you. As always, though, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and please feel free to check out the links in the description if you want to see any more of these videos. And also, don't forget you can find my Twitter and Discord links down there as well if you want to keep in touch. And as always, until next time, see you later, and have a good one.